right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, the SEC's greatest rivalry. It's Mike and EJ, and we're back with recurring guest Nathan. How's it going, man? Boys, how we doing?
I'm really happy to be back, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're ready. You got the Ole Miss sweatshirt on.
I know. I don't want to give anything away before you announce it, but I need people to know I'm coming in with a partisan lean on this one.
That's fair. That's fair. It's given that you're the current head coach at Ole Miss, will be the future Alabama head coach. I have all the respect in the world for Lane Kiffin. Can't wait for him to take over the Tide and establish a new dynasty once the Saban dynasty ends. Still active. F off Paul Feinbaum, and yeah.
It's also spoiler alert, not really, teaser kind of. We are going to do another draft similar to what Mike and I did before, and it is going to involve college football jerseys. And let's just say those Battle Blues are going to be a hot pick.
Well, so we got to talk about that because, like I said, whenever I proposed the idea of the draft, I was thinking that it would be the primary jerseys. The Battle Blues are not the primary jersey. It's a nice jersey.
They're kind of the primary jersey. They
wear them
about as much as they wear the navies.
I was going to say, if you wear them more than once in a year,
does that mean that Tennessee's blacks are a primary jersey?
Do they wear them more than once?
Yeah,
I feel like they only wear them on Halloween.
But they wore them against. They wore them.
Sure, it wasn't their grays? No, I think it was just the one time because they have their
grays once. Yeah.
We can talk about it. It could get
I think that should be amended, though. Let's be real here. If you're gonna take away the best jersey in the SEC,
well, that's up for debate. That's up for debate. That's why we want to do the draft. We can talk about it, whatever the group wants, because it does whatever. No,
that's fair. That's fair. If they really only wear it once a year, then fine. But I feel like they usually wear them 2 or 3 times. But I don't know. I'd have to go back and look.
It would be hard to talk about Tennessee, for example, and not talk about the black jerseys too, because I think that that does look very good on them. But we'll see. I think and
then what's Oregon's normal?
It makes it hard to pick. I was just gonna say it makes it hard to pick Oregon. Now,
I don't think do they ever duplicate in a year?
If they go to a bowl game, they sometimes will.
Yeah, I feel like they normally don't wear the same tops and pants, right? I guess maybe they wear the same top a couple times. I don't know if they do.
It does make it hard, and so just for them though, for someone I would say Utah last year during their last game of the season, they wore those battleship uniforms that. I would think that wouldn't count. Maybe we'll just say the jerseys that or even just or even an annual jersey, right? I feel like maybe we could talk about it, but maybe if there's just a classic alternate that always gets played once a year, maybe that should be in play. But that actually now I'm thinking. I don't want to tip my picks, but I am thinking now about a certain school, and they wear a jersey once a year, and it is nice. So,
okay.
Really, it's their helmet.
He's talking about Notre Dame.
Well, no, because we'll talk about it, but Notre Dame, I guess. Well, depending upon what we do. Oh, that's right. We said we were going to include, if we include non-Power 5, one non-Power 5, then Notre Dame would be allowed to be picked. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
All right, fellas. Well, we are talking about the Egg Bowl today, or the battle for the Golden Egg, which is played between the in-state rivals of Ole Miss and Mississippi State. So it only made sense for the drink to be a hottie toddy. So I dropped the ball here and didn't say anything to either of you. Although it probably should have been assumed that we were going to do a toddy here. But I I did make them. It actually works out because my wife is sick, so I made her
Oh.
non-alcoholic one. Yeah, not feeling too great right now. So, a nice little hot toddy, which is typically used as like a kind of home remedy drink, right? When you're not feeling so great. But that includes some hot water, a shot of whiskey. Depending on how much water you put in, can change how much you want to add the rest of these ingredients. But 2 to 3 teaspoons of honey, 2 to 3 teaspoons of lemon juice, a lemon round, and then a cinnamon stick for garnish. So just a nice little drink. So I do have my little guy. I don't have any cool clear mugs to actually display it, I realized. So you're just gonna have to imagine that I'm drinking it. So
cheers. I mentioned to our friend Ryan Groves yesterday. I called I called an orange. He was pouring a Blue Moon. I said, "Why don't you get a nice little orange wheel for that?" And he's like, "What is an orange wheel?" So do you guys I would call it, instead of a lemon round, I'd call it a lemon wheel. But like, is that totally like, do you guys track with that? Like, do you call it a wheel? Do you call it a round? Because I call a slice like, anything like a half circle is a slice.
Whoa.
I think I'd have called it a slice.
A slice of toilet paper?
Don't use too small of a slice, but yeah.
I guess I've just never really needed to do, like, I think of wedges, right? But that is specifically on the lip, right? Is what a wedge is, which is, I think, different than these. So I guess I just don't put slices in a drink, but I would probably, round was the website that called it that. I'd probably accept slice and wheel. Like, I knew what you were saying. Like, if you were to say a wheel of a lemon or a orange or something, I think I would know what you mean.
I prefer a wheel. Like, if I'm having like a Blue Moon, I prefer the whole wheel as opposed to just the slice of it. I don't know, just something about just makes it I enjoy it.
Sure, that's fair.
Whatever makes you happy. Man. You do you.
Just me. I would even like to see that, like, if I'm getting like a vodka water with lemon, if there's a wheel, I'm loving that. I don't know. Just, it
more
does
than
a little
the
bit
wedge?
more for me. Yeah. I mean, I guess I like a little bit more fruit, get that vitamin C.
But here's the thing that I noticed when I was putting it in is, like, a wedge, you always squeeze, right? You squeeze, typically it comes on the rim, you squeeze and you drop.
Yep.
I mean, you don't really squeeze a wheel, right? Like, I was like, do I squeeze this?
Because there's more surface area you can let sit. You could twist it. Seep through? You give it a twist.
Ooh, a little twisty. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Something to think
about.
The
more you know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So why don't we get to the pick 'em with the boys? And what better guest to have here than, I think, the still leader coming down to the last couple weeks here.
Yeah, so, you Nathan, you have maintained that half-point lead for the past 4 weeks. You have maintained a half-point lead over me.
And can I just say that half point is also, like, it's not controversial because Mike chose the rule, but we did not determine that beforehand. And it was just something that, like, on the spot, Mike was like, oh, well, a push should just be a half point. And it made sense, but, like, we didn't discuss it. And now that half point is the difference.
I didn't know it was going to come back to bite me in the ass. But to be fair, even if we were tied right now, you could still go back and say, like, what is the tiebreaker going to be? Sure. And that would have to be
that push. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I do feel like it's worth noting here. I also had a 2 week. You guys had like a 2 week head start on me. I don't think I started picking until week 3.
Okay.
So I don't know.
You're right.
How much I want to spike the football here with 2 weeks to go, but.
Well, you could have been like EJ. You could have gone 0-6 in the first 2 weeks too.
No, dude, that was like 0-9 for the first 3. So it's great.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring it up, but you got one this week.
It is well documented, my struggles with pick'em. And like I mentioned last week, and it's not to poo-poo on anybody's picks, but, like, college football's been crazy, and, like, the best of us here are still under 500 picking. So it's rough out there.
Well, I can give the updated rankings here. So it really is a three horse race for who's finishing first, between Nathan obviously with 15.5 points, myself with 15, and then Doyle, a strong week, going undefeated, 3-0. So he's at 13 now. He needed that after going 0 for last week. And then Nathan and I both went 2-1 this week, with Oregon being our only miss. Then EJ, you are almost bringing up the rear. Jimmy had a 3-0 week. Or no, I'm sorry. Jimmy actually missed one. He missed Notre Dame. So Jimmy and Chris are tied at 7 apiece. They both went 2-1. You went 1-2, so you're behind them with 6 points. So you still got a chance to catch them. And then poor our Willie, man. Poor our Willie. Just hoping to said he was gonna do better. He sure didn't.
It's not poor our Willie, because he came in hot that first. I didn't tell you guys this, but he messaged me on Facebook and was just like, because our posts go to my Facebook page. I just have like the Instagram account attached to it, and so he was I think the week that I finally was just like, give me some picks. He was like, oh, great picks. Or just like harassing all of us, and was like, you guys basically saying we were shit. And I was like, okay, well, give us some picks then. And so
he's gone 1-5. He's gone 1-5. So
do not feel bad for him.
All right.
Okay, so what do we got here then? Just two weeks? Are we still doing championship week? I know you had brought it up, Mike, which was double or nothing. You had said a while back. I mean, this is probably the worst time to ask you this, as the pressure's on, but you did give the people a double or nothing opportunity for championship week.
I mean, if the people want it, I think we go ahead and do it.
I mean, I think that would be chaos, right? Like, and there's still plenty of championships to choose from too. So it's not like you obviously you can be strategic, I suppose, and just like, depending on where the standings are, just try and pick the same as the other person. I hope we don't have, a little bit of gamesmanship there, but I guess we'll see.
Well,
everyone's going to pick Ohio State minus whatever against whoever comes out of the West, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, not seeing the lines.
I'll tip my hand there. That was
some
one of my
Spartans
picks.
shade. Yeah, there's some Spartan shade there, with not even mentioning the possibility of a different school representing the East.
I'll probably do. I mean, gosh, I would think Georgia can trounce LSU. Obviously, not having seen the line, but I would think that. And then, I guess the ACC, like the rest of them, might be a little bit harder to pick, but especially depending who comes out of the Big 12 too. So,
well, what's going to be interesting is if one of you two are down to each other, and you want to. Eventually, some people are going to have to be different. So it's going to almost be like a game of chicken. Like, you're both going to want to pick Georgia. You're both going to want to pick Ohio State. But if one of you two need to leapfrog, then
the half point. That's what the difference is going to come down to. It's not going to allow us. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I would think the half point. We still got 2 weeks left, so
we do.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot can happen.
Yeah,
a lot of people can go over. People can go 6-0. We'll see. Could be crazy here. Okay. Okay, so you just give that. So why don't we get to the rivalry that we are talking about? And for the record here, as soon as I talked about this podcast, like before we even started like season 1 with the Big Ten, you were like, Egg Bowl, I'm in. And then it was like, okay, well, we're going to do the SEC this season. And you were like, Egg Bowl, I'm in. So I'm really glad that you're able to join us here. So some fun facts about this game. So this game has been played every year since 1944, making it the 10th longest uninterrupted series. My goodness, I'm talking too fast here.
You're excited.
And I know. And like most rivalries, it is played Thanksgiving Day weekend, the very end of the year. And the Egg Bowl itself has been played on Thanksgiving Day 23 times. So that's kind of interesting because it doesn't always line up. It depends. Some of these rivalry weekend games, because there's so many of them, they like to, put them on Thursdays and Fridays, even some of the bigger ones, and Saturdays as well. So yeah, been on there on 23
Is it on Thanksgiving this year?
It is not. It is on Black Friday, actually.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it's the prime. Yeah, I think it's the prime time on. Oh, you know what? Maybe I lied. One of these games is on Thanksgiving, and the other one is on the Friday. It is on Thanksgiving. It is. It's
it's the one game, 7 p.m. on Thanksgiving. There we go.
Yes. So which one? Oh, Florida State. That's the Friday night. That's the McCullough Trophy. That's the Friday. I remember I was preparing the notes for next week when we have to give the previews of the games, and there's 15 games that we have to preview. So I knew there were some that weren't on that Saturday. So this is typically where I would ask you guys any guesses to what the trophy looks like, but I know you two both know what it looks like, and I think a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. So I asked Mike this question last week when we talked about the Golden Boot because, and first off, the Golden Boot looked fantastic on TV. They showed it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Lovely. Yep. Super happy. It was like the Leo DiCaprio meme, where I was sitting back on my couch and pointing. So
it deserves that level of prominence,
It does. So if you guys were to make this trophy yourself, so if you just knew it was these 2 teams, what would the trophy look like for you guys?
Well, I don't know, the egg bowl trophy is kind of perfect for this game. I think it's kind of stupid. It's kind of weird. Doesn't make a lot of sense to anybody who's not from Mississippi. So I don't know that I would do much different. I don't know that I'd come up with it on my own, but if somebody said, "Hey, this is it," I'd been like, "Yes, bingo."
So that's why I said last week with the Golden Boot, I was like, it's perfect the way it is, but I would, if we could give out a pair of golden cleats to the winners, or if the teams wore golden cleats, that would be cool. So maybe something similar with the Egg Bowl is that you just get a bowl of eggs and you just throw them at each other on the field afterwards, just a little, or you egg. Can't egg the losers. That would probably add that'd be a fight. But maybe the losing coach or the losing athletic director had to go to the school and get egged afterwards. That would be.
Oh, I like that.
That would be good.
A trophy ceremony type thing, where after the fact they have some sort of. I do like
get them in the Nickelodeon, the slime regalia with the tarp and the goggles, and just fire away.
That could be good. Maybe they also need to do the Rose Bowl has the steak eating contest before. Maybe there needs to be an egg eating contest prior. Maybe the day prior, give people some time to recover. How many eggs can each team puts up one guy and it's just mano-y-mano. How many eggs?
Oh my God. That you'd have to that could. I'm thinking of the replacements when he.
That's what I thought you were. That's what I thought you were gonna say is when you were oh, you get a bowl full of eggs, and I was like, we doing the replacements? Just gonna be chugging down, swallowing down hard-boiled eggs before the game, puking. That'd
be a little bit dangerous. You gotta do a member of the student body. You can't have a player because a player could really just spewing vomit all over the field. That would take some time to recover from. You'd probably be on the sidelines. You'd be on the injury report after that one.
Okay. I think I know the obvious answer to this, but egg eating contest, Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach. Who's winning?
Leach. Oh, Mike Leach. Yeah.
I can't even picture Kiffin doing it. Leach probably eats 10 hard-boiled eggs just anyway.
Yeah.
Through quick practice. I could just picture him cracking eggs during practice.
Or during film. During film.
Yeah, the most inappropriate time. Just ripping ass, eating eggs.
Yeah.
Talking about how soft his wide receivers are.
No seats for them.
No seats.
All right, guys. So this is an in-state rivalry, which means we have to do some state trivia based on or in this case, we're going to do some Mississippi State trivia. We got 5 questions here. Let's see how many you guys can get. The first question here. Mississippi got its name from which Native American tribe? Is it A, Iroquois, B, Cherokee, C, Chippewa, or D, Seminole?
The state of Mississippi or the river?
The state. So the name Mississippi comes from a name that the Native American, one of these Native American tribes.
Can you read me those answers again?
Yep, it's A, Iroquois, B, Cherokee, C, Chippewa, or D, Seminole.
All right, I think I have my answer, but Mike, I'll give you, if you want to go first, you can.
Yeah, so I don't think it's Chippewa. I feel like Seminole's a red herring, even though that is close to the area. I don't think it's Iroquois either.
Yeah, I think it's Cherokee.
That's what I think.
But I feel like that's also wrong. Like for some reason, I feel like the Cherokee were further west. But
yeah, that's
what I'm
I think.
Going with.
That's why I think it's not the Cherokee. But I feel like Seminole's a red herring. I feel like he's just throwing that in there because we know it's in the area. So, Florida, the Panhandle goes up there. It's close.
Yeah, I'm going to say Cherokee. Final answer.
Yeah, Cherokee.
You both are incorrect.
Oh, there we go.
Is it Seminole?
It is the Chippewa.
Oh,
what?
Yes, sir.
I thought they were further north. I mean,
no. So the Chippewas.
Central Michigan is just appropriating the name. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Really? That's why I didn't pick them, because of Central Michigan.
All right.
Yeah, and Mississippi stands for large river, so that's where it got its name from.
Oh, there you go. That's why I asked.
Well named.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Belzoni, Mississippi is known as the blank capital of the world. Is it A, catfish, B, shrimp, C, crawfish, D, pig?
That name Belzoni sounds so familiar.
God, it could be any of those.
I'm gonna
get good at this, guys.
I'm thinking catfish.
I'm gonna say that was my first guess. I think that's a red herring too. I think it's shrimp.
Final answers?
Yeah.
One of you are correct.
Ooh.
It is A, catfish.
Bang,
94% of all farm-raised catfish in the United States are raised in Mississippi.
Wow. Do you guys like catfish?
I love catfish, especially Cajun fried catfish.
Oh yeah,
so good.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a seafood person. Like fish is something that I can eat, but like I think catfish is fine. I don't think I have too much of a problem with it.
Yeah. I really like seafood. I don't like fish all that much, but I do like catfish. I won't order salmon, trout, flounder, anything like that. But like if I see fried catfish, Cajun fried catfish on menu, yeah. You have my curiosity and my attention.
I'll eat basically anything that comes out of the ocean. So or rivers in this case. But yeah, I love a good piece of fried catfish.
Okay, here. Question number 3. Which beverage was first bottled in Vicksburg, Mississippi? Was it A, Pepsi Cola, C, Coca-Cola, A, Pepsi Cola, B, Coca-Cola, C, Royal Crown Cola or RC Cola, or D, 7-Up?
I think I'm just gonna choose RC Cola because of how you went to C there. So
I was gonna say I think it's RC.
Yeah, I think you tipped your hand.
You were both incorrect.
Damn it!
And a Royal Crown Cola. I thought that would. I mean, I only know about RC Cola because of my wrestling fandom when I was a kid, because that was like heavily marketed during like WWF matches.
Oh,
back
really?
In the day. Oh yeah, that was the only time. RC Cola is actually Canadian. Royal Crown Royal.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Well,
go.
is it just thinking logically? It's probably not Coca-Cola because I would think that's in Atlanta. But am I wrong?
You are wrong. So
Is it-
yes, it is made in Atlanta, but the first bottle was actually
Vicksburg.
in Vicksburg. Yes.
Okay.
I know. I'm getting good at this, huh?
Yeah.
Number 4, Mississippi was home, so it's not active anymore, unfortunately, but was home to the only blank plantation. Is it A, Christmas tree, B, fern, C, palm tree, or D, cactus?
Did you say home tree? HOME?
No,
Palm.
palm.
Okay. Yeah,
Palm.
Sorry. I need to get my hearing checked.
Home
I was like,
tree.
what the hell
Yes,
is a home tree? I feel like it's got to be fern. Fern sounds weird enough that it could be the correct answer here.
That does seem weird. Like a fern plantation. I'm thinking it's not palm trees or cactuses. I think Christmas tree. I think it's weird enough that it's Christmas tree.
Okay. And Nathan, you're going with fern?
Yeah, I'm going with fern.
You are both incorrect.
Oh,
It was home to the largest and only cactus plantation. And that was in Edwards, Mississippi, but it unfortunately closed in 2014.
I guess that makes sense that it if it was, then yeah,
Right.
why would you have a cactus plantation? But okay.
I don't know why you'd have a plantation of any of these things to like
Christmas tree, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
but yeah.
I need to know more about this cactus plantation in Mississippi. This is a very
Google it.
harebrained.
It was supposed to be like where Christmas tree has like the practicality of buying it for Christmas, right? This was not like, I'm sure you could buy the cactus, but I think it was meant to be like a tourist trap thing. Like it was supposed to be
Okay,
a spectacle.
Wow,
Come
go
see all
figure.
these cacti.
Yeah,
In Mississippi, I mean, you're
people
not going to
weren't-
see.
flocking to Mississippi to see the cactus.
No. All right, last question, guys. Number 5. Mississippi was home to the country's first what? Was it A, shoe factory, B, women's college, C, fast food restaurant, or D, department store?
I think it's D. No.
Well, it probably wasn't women's college. I feel like that would have been somewhere in the Northeast. I feel like shoe factory also is something that would have been in
the north.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm sticking with department store. I mean, my gut has been awful so far. I'm 0 for 4 on these questions, but
Well, where was the first McDonald's? Because that
was
would have
in
been
Missouri or Illinois, I think.
okay, so that would have been probably the first fast food restaurant. Department store probably.
Well, I guess it depends on how we're talking about fast food restaurant, right? Like McDonald's was the first to kind of do the franchised model where all the stores were the same, but there were like fast food restaurants before that.
Yeah.
Maybe it is fast food restaurant.
Because like even department store, like I mean, why would there not be one in New York City? Like on
Well, you had big cities. Everybody had their person they'd go to for their individual clothes. Small towns in the South, they're smaller towns. Maybe everything gets consolidated into one place.
See, I think opposite. I think that the South is more like mom and pop stores and like Macy's and Gimbals, like whenever that first started, like that was in a city, right? So,
all right, you've talked me into fast food restaurant, Mike.
That's what I think. That's what I think. That seems right.
And EJ's laughing. It's going to be department store.
You are both incorrect. For as backwards as the South is,
Women's college? Are you kidding me?
The first public women's college in America.
I didn't even consider that.
Was the Mississippi University for Women, founded in 1884.
I didn't even consider that.
1884 is a lot later than I would have expected, but good for them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, like When I saw that, I was shocked, and I like tried to do my best to. I thought you guys would get it because once I read it to you, I realized that the other three were in common and that one wasn't. So I was like, shit, like.
I don't. Did you even think women's college was? I mean, I thought Boston.
Yeah, I thought
Vermont
somewhere in
something.
Boston or New Hampshire, New York, or
Yeah.
somewhere in the Northeast. I think I was tracking with you, Mike, where it's like surely there's been a women's college there since like the early 1800s. But I guess when you think about like women probably weren't going to school much.
Yeah.
So
Well,
and this was public, so they were specific
public.
about public.
Okay.
So maybe there were private women's colleges. So this was the first public. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good for Mississippi.
But
Oftentimes
still, yeah.
they're not first to anything. So
Especially not equality based, right?
no.
All right. So why don't we get back to the rivalry here? So the first matchup was in 1901, and Mississippi State won 17-0. But overall, Ole Miss leads the series 64 wins to 45 losses to 6 ties. And this series has been largely dominated by Ole Miss, who's had a couple of larger streaks that helped put them in the lead here. So, Mike, I just obviously, since we know what this trophy is, just have you talk through what it looks like.
Yeah. So it's a big round wooden base, and there is gold plaques on the base that have the dates and the scores. And then there is a golden base on top of the round base, the round wooden base. And again, it is round. It's kind of tiered, much like the Stanley Cup. But unlike the top of the cup, instead of there being a cup there, it is a giant golden football that is very egg-shaped, hence the name. And there's a lot of engravings on that as well. And I guess, EJ, this is where I want like your kind of information on what is all engraved on the football itself.
Yes. So it is scores. So
Okay.
the scores go all the way up into the football, which makes it pretty unique and kind of crazy looking.
So they don't have anything like, because I know a lot of the trophies have like, these are the schools presented as part of, the Egg Bowl. It's all just scores and dates on it. Like that's the only thing we got engraved on this bad boy.
Yes.
Huh. That's interesting because, most of these trophies do have some type of nod to the schools themselves on that with like logos and stuff like that.
It's one of those things like just if you know, right? They didn't feel the need to let you know. It's just that there's only one.
We're the Egg Bowl, baby.
Right. There's only one. Okay, so let me give you guys a little bit of history about this golden egg. So the Mississippi A&M Aggies, which are the Bulldogs now, that was Mississippi State's name when they first began. They dominated the early days of the series, including a 13-game A&M winning streak from 1911 to 1925, during which the Aggies outscored Ole Miss by a combined 327-33.
Must have been Mike Leach. He must have had that air raid offense in back in the day.
Yeah, they were
his former
time.
In a former life. He was
apparently just channeling some A&M success here. So through 1925, Ole Miss had won only 5 times out of the 23 total contests. And in 1926, when the red and blue ended their 13-game losing streak by defeating A&M 7-6 in Starkville, the Ole Miss fans rushed the field, with some trying to tear down the goalposts because, of course, A&M fans. Oh yeah, and A&M fans did not take well to Ole Miss trying to destroy their property, and fights broke out because some of the A&M fans defended the goalposts with golden chairs and wooden chairs.
I was gonna say they got some money in that program back in the day.
defending the Goals with wooden chairs, and several people were injured, according to reports. So this is according to one account. So quotation, irate Aggie supporters took after the ambitious Ole Miss group with cane-bottom chairs and fights broke out. The mayhem continued until most of the chairs were splintered.
When was the last? Or good, Nathan.
I was going to say that set the tone for the next almost 100 years of this rivalry.
It did
being weird.
When was the last time that visiting fans tore down a goalpost?
I was going to say you'd have to be there in such force that you would feel confident enough to do it. I've never even considered something like that.
What about like even like a storming of the field or a storming of the court? Like
it had to have been back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way it would happen in modern era.
No. Well, yeah.
Well, people would be using their metal chairs now to defend the goalpost.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot more injuries.
Well, because I'd imagine if you tried to rush the court as a road team, like just even say like basketball, I feel like security would stop you where they wouldn't stop like the home team supporters. So, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm because I'm very curious about this.
All right. Well, while you're looking that up, I'll continue here. So for the 1927 game, the students of the schools agreed that there should be a trophy presentation for the winner to avoid having another fight break out after the game. This was according to Ole Miss. So the trophy was designed to be a regulation-size gold-plated football by you're going to kill me for this, Mike, but the Iota Sigma? Is that a fraternity? Great.
Well, I've never heard of Iota Sigma, but Iota is the correct name of the Greek letter. Yeah.
Great.
Pronunciation of the Greek letter.
So the Iota Sigma honorary activities fraternity at Ole Miss, and in the 1920s, they were considering the footballs were considerably more girthy and larger than those used today, similar to kind of balls used in rugby. So that was why the golden egg looks like an egg when it's actually just a old school football.
Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense.
So the teams played in the battle for the golden egg until 1978, when the game was first officially called or became the Egg Bowl. So it was the Clarion Ledger ran a spread calling the game the Egg Bowl because 6-4 Mississippi State and 4-6 Ole Miss were not in bowl contention that season, and this would be the final game for each team's season, according to Ole Miss. And after the Rebels came away with the 27-7 victory, the media continued to refer to the game as the Egg Bowl in subsequent seasons.
The good old days when you had to win more than 6 games or 7 games to go to a bowl game. Not to get on a curmudgeonly soapbox, but
yeah, so I mean, we're talking about a trophy that's been around since 1927, and then this Egg Bowl got its name in 1978. So there's a lot of old history to this that I didn't realize it was that old. I mean, you can see that it clearly looks aged, but that's a long time, coming up on 100 years. That's crazy to think.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Now that
you say that like you're almost 100 yourself, EJ.
That's 95
like, oh,
years.
No.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Mike, did you find the answer to your question?
No, it looks like it's very uncommon. Like neutral sites, it's happened, but
sure.
I did find an article talking. It's all like everything I'm Googling. There's a lot of talk about SEC fans storming the field because you beat Bama, you storm the field. Like that's what you do, I guess, these days. So, and people say the dynasty's dead. A regular season victory against Alabama warrants a field storming. So,
who's saying the dynasty's dead? Didn't you
Paul
just win
Paul Feinbaum.
Didn't you just win a natty like 2 years ago or something?
Yeah,
like
and we
ago?
went to the natty last year, but right. Dynasty's dead. So that's all right. That's all right, Paul. Keep talking, buddy.
Rent free in your head, Mike.
It's all good. This team stinks. Next year, see what happens.
This
Good luck,
team
everybody
stinks
else.
as they're about to go 10-2.
They do well by. I mean, come on. The wide receivers, offensive line, defense plays with no heart. All we got's Bryce and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, I was just thinking, I was talking to my father-in-law, and it's like, okay, so even if Alabama loses to Ole Miss and, they finish the season with 3 losses, it's like, okay, so great. Then, like, Tulane's going to pull them in a bowl game and lose by, like, 75. So
this would be a good year for the playoff. It would be expanded playoff. It'd be chaos.
All right, so why don't I go through some notable games here throughout the rivalry? So in 1906, James C. Elmer of Ole Miss caught the first forward pass in the history
the first
of the rivalry.
Ever, or the first in the rivalry?
In the history of the rivalry.
Got it. Okay.
Also, Elmer's kicking accounted for 13 points in a 29-5 route.
13 points?
Yeah.
29-5?
Extra points.
That's an intriguing score.
Yeah, that's a scoregami. I would assume.
I would think so, yeah.
So this was the first time the game marked the end of the season for not one, but both teams as well. So this was not a good year for either.
Okay.
So then in 1983, this is kind of on point too, because this year marks the 50th anniversary. This game was called the Immaculate Deflection. Not to be confused. Yes. Not to be confused. No, not to be confused with the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Which I know it's some sort of mile marker because the Steelers are having a big ceremony at the end of the year when they play the Raiders. So this game was also called the Win Bowl. So in what has become known to Ole Miss and Mississippi State fans as the Immaculate Deflection, the 1983 Egg Bowl played in Jackson is notable because the win helped preserve Ole Miss's 24-23 victory. So down by a point with 24 seconds left in the game, Mississippi State kicked what would be a 29 or 27-yard game-winning field goal. And Mississippi State freshman kicker Artie Cosby kicked it straight and long and what appeared to be over the crossbar, but the ball reached the goalpost and a 40-mile-per-hour gusting wind suspended the ball inches from the uprights, after which it fell short. So basically, it was good, and then just
hit a wall.
That's crazy.
Yeah. With that name, I was thinking about there's a play this weekend. Mount Union was playing, I forget who, but they threw up a Hail Mary and the corner hit it up in the air and a Mount Union receiver came behind them, grabbed it, touchdown. I was thinking something along those lines. That's really just an immaculate deflection, hand of God just coming in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you just kind of put your hands up at that point, right? Wasn't meant to be. So in 1991, this game is called the Back to Campus. So in the first Egg Bowl played on either campus since 1972, and it was the first game played back at Mississippi State in Starkville since 1971. So as it kind of alluded to earlier in 83, they played in the state capitol in Jackson for many years, just to make it easier for both fan bases to get to the game versus having to drive to each other's campuses. So in this game, it was first-year head coach Jackie Sherrill of the Bulldogs. They won the game 24-9, and this victory was Mississippi State's first victory over Ole Miss in Starkville since 1942, ending an 0-11-3 drought. So then the next year, they have a game called The Stand. So in the defensive struggle that saw it combined 12 turnovers.
A lot of good notable named games here. I like this.
For sure. This is really reminiscence for me to Michigan State, Michigan, right? There are just so many very famous games that all have nicknames to them.
I like this.
Yes. So in 92, The Stand. So in a game that saw a combined 12 turnovers between the two schools, a goal line stand of epic proportions by the Red Death defense ultimately gave Ole Miss the win. So Mississippi State had 11 plays in 2 different possessions inside the Rebel 10 within the last 4 minutes of the contest, but failed to score.
Wow. The
That's
Red Death.
incredible.
Nathan, what do you think? Red
I mean-
Death, Land Sharks, what other nicknames you guys could come up with?
I don't know. I don't know that there's anything that can top the Red Death. That's fantastic.
That's pretty
Like
good.
I thought the old Viking Purple People Eaters was good, but I think the Red Death might have it beat.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this makes me want to like look back at how you got that name, right? Like that Ole Miss defense has to be nasty that year to be called the Red Death,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I would hope so.
It was just like terrible that year, but they named it the Red Death after the fact. Like,
Well, because you want to die watching them play. Like that's what it was. I that's the Alabama defense right now, the Red Death.
So the first possession ended on a 3rd down pass that was intercepted in the end zone by Mike Lowry, who would bring the ball out to the 2-yard line. A couple plays later, saw Rebel running back Corey Philpott fumble the ball back to the Dogs. And then that was the Rebels' 7th turnover of the game.
Oh my gosh, that has to be so deflating. You're like, yes, got the turnover. Let's seal this up. Let's get home. And then, damn it, like fumble it. Oh,
yep.
time to go back to work.
On the ensuing possession, State had a 4th and goal, and the pass was incomplete. However, there was pass interference on Orlando Truitt that kept the drive alive, moving the ball to the 2. However, the next 4 plays resulted in negative yardage, with the final pass falling incomplete with only 20 seconds remaining. So the Rebels won 17-10.
This would have been an awful game to watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Terrible.
Like,
especially when
for
you think
fans
it's
of both
done.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah. You think it's done on 4th down, and then you get to oh my gosh.
You know that like Red Death defense wanted nothing to do with the offense, like in the locker room, right?
Oh yeah.
Well,
they probably made them
the
carry
corner.
the shoulder pads in.
Yeah, but then you get off the field, and then the corner gets the PI. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
And then 1997 contest was notable for 2 things. First, for the melee that broke out between the teams before the game kicked off, and second, for the dramatic way it ended. So, trailing 14-7 with 2 minutes left, the Rebels put together a 64-yard drive that culminated with a 10-yard touchdown pass to Andre Roan. So Ole Miss then elected to attempt a 2-point conversion to take the lead rather than kick the extra point for the tie. And Rebel quarterback Stuart Patridge completed a pass to Corey Patterson with 25 seconds left that gave Ole Miss a 15-14 lead. And I guess after the fact, Corey Peterson, sorry, did I say Patterson?
Yeah, but it's all right.
Peterson.
He's probably not a listener.
Corey Peterson freely admits to all now that he actually trapped the ball on the 2-point conversion, and it should not have
Oh man, that's so Ball does lie. I mean,
Yes.
Ball didn't lie in the Buffalo game, but Ball does lie sometimes. So
That is a lot like the Michigan State Michigan clock gate, where like Spartan Bob is like, hell yeah, I stopped the clock.
I do it again.
Well, yeah, what did they expect? That was like the dumbest thing that college football could have ever done,
Yes.
is let home like staff and fans take.
But I
Entertaining.
love the like unrepentant, yeah, I got away with it. Like, and there's nothing you can do
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
That was honestly probably my first Michigan State memory. Like as a kid watching that game, that TJ Duckett and Jeff Smoker, like that still, I can almost probably right now in my head picture that last play and where Duckett caught it, and just the craziness of that game. That was
awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. So a late pass by Mississippi State was intercepted by Ole Miss DB Tim Strickland to secure the win for the Rebels. Both teams finished 7-4. However, with limited bowl games available, Ole Miss would secure its first bowl berth since 1992, while Mississippi State would fail to reach a bowl for the 3rd consecutive season. So the tiebreaker went to the trapped 2-point conversion.
Nice.
Yeah. Guys, there are quite a few of these. So
I love it.
I know.
I love that. This is awesome. Like
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No. I was just gonna say this is what I like to see.
And there's a consistent theme here so far of
One side.
both teams being kind of like in bad shape at the end of the year.
Yep.
Maybe not going to make it to a bowl game, regardless of the outcome. And yet they are still so fueled by like passionate hatred for the other that these games get really weird and like crazy.
Yeah. This is great. Like this is the nice thing about college football. It's like that hatred is like there because I mean, especially in the league these days, it's like even if like if it's the end of the season, both teams suck, and even if it's like your division rival, like you want to win, but like it doesn't really like doesn't matter. It doesn't get a name after it, right? You're not talking about it years later. All right, EJ, what's next? What do you got on deck now?
Yes. So now we're going to fast forward to 1999 here, and this one's called the Pick and the Kick. So this game is best known for a dramatic ending. So down 20-6, Mississippi State rallied late in the fourth quarter to tie the game. With 20 seconds left, instead of kneeling the ball to go into overtime, Ole Miss decided to run a play deep in their own territory. So the Rebel quarterback Ramiro Miller dropped back and lobbed a deep pass, which was deflected by the hands and then the foot of Mississippi State cornerback Robert Bean before being intercepted by Eugene Clinton and returned deep into Rebel territory. And on the next play with 8 seconds left, Bulldog kicker Scott Westerfield kicked a 44-yard game-winning field goal.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to need to track down video of this if there is any.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happened to that coach after the game, but I can't imagine you can explain not taking that knee and
well, I mean, but at the same, I don't mind that. I mean, go for it. Just try to win the game. I don't mind that.
22 seconds and you're deep in your own zone and it's your rival and that's the result. I mean,
yeah, but if it works out, you're the hero. Imagine if that pick would just got deflected to the Rebel wide receiver, and then they're able to kick the game winner.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So then why don't we then fast forward to 2007? So we're gonna jump a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's called the comeback. So Mississippi State trailed 14-0 with less than 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter when Ole Miss head coach Ed Orgeron elected to go for a fourth down at Ole Miss's 49-yard line, and running back, wow, these names, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, some throwbacks here, was stopped for a loss, turning the ball over on downs. The Bulldogs drove down, scored a touchdown, and seized the momentum and went on to win the game 17-14, which marked the last game of Ed Orgeron's tenure as the head coach after the Rebels went 8-0 or 0-8 in the SEC that year.
Oh, Coach O.
He got his redemption though.
Yeah,
short-lived, but it was but he did get it.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
Yeah, judging by all the videos and everything. All right. In 2013, it was the first overtime game. So Mississippi State claimed a 17-10 overtime win over Ole Miss on a cold Thanksgiving night at Davis Wade Stadium. It was the first Egg Bowl that went into overtime. Injured quarterback or Bulldog quarterback Dak Prescott came off the bench with his team trailing 10-7 in the middle of the fourth, leading Mississippi State to a game-time field goal that forced overtime. And then in overtime, Prescott scored a touchdown on a fourth down from the 3-yard line. And then on the ensuing Mississippi possession, Nico Whitley stripped the ball from Rebel quarterback Bo Wallace. I forgot about him. As he tried to score the game-tying touchdown.
Was that Hugh Freeze? Yeah.
Bo Wallace, like, easy to forget about, but that guy had some games where it was like, whoa.
Because he was athletic too, right? Wasn't he kind of like
he could run a little bit?
Yeah. That's gunslinger. So the next year, 2014, This game was important because of the implications it had on the postseason play for both teams. So Mississippi State entered the game with a 10-1 record overall, and then they were 6-1 in conference play, and they were the number 4 ranking in the college football playoff.
Oh, this was actually this was an trivia question, because this is the they talked about this on game day either this week or last week. It was the first time that it was the first time either a number 1 seed didn't make the play, like the top ranked team. It was either the first time that the top ranked team in the first college football rankings did not make the playoff, or that they all didn't make the playoff. That all the teams were in the top 4 in the first ranking didn't end up making the playoff. One of those two. I forget exactly how the question was phrased, but I definitely remember that Mississippi State was number 1 in that ranking, and they ultimately missed the playoff.
So,
spoiler for the story you're about to tell, but yeah.
So with this game, a win for Mississippi State coupled with a loss by Alabama in the Iron Bowl would give the Bulldogs the SEC West Championship and a berth to the SEC Championship game, and Ole Miss entered the game number 19, marking only the 5th time in the rivalry's history and the first time since 1999 that both teams entered the Egg Bowl ranked. So, and then this was the first time since 1964 that the game was televised by a national network, which is pretty crazy to me. I guess just because
nuts.
Yeah,
that's very surprising.
It must have just been on the SEC network, and I don't know what was before then, but this obviously CBS took this game and made it a part of their package for the game. And then I guess, okay, let's see here. So CBS acknowledging the importance of the game along with the contractual limitations on how many times it can feature each team in its SEC package. Interesting. It passed on televising the Iron Bowl and chose to carry the Egg Bowl instead. And then in an upset, Ole Miss defeated Mississippi State 31-17, and the victory was highlighted by a strong performance by Ole Miss's running back Jalen Walton, who had a career-high 148 yards rushing, including a 91-yard touchdown.
What happened in the Iron Bowl, EJ?
I'm not sure. Did Alabama
I need
win?
to check see what year that was.
Is this the kick six?
That was the year before.
That was 2013.
Yeah, because 2013 is when Auburn played Florida State in the championship and got absolutely wrecked, and they had no business being there. And Michigan State should have been there instead. And Michigan State would have won the national championship. Not to derail this conversation about the
against famous Jameis.
Yeah, that Florida State team had played nobody all year. They were soft as hell. That's my number 1 college sports counterfactual.
Then this was the year that Ole Miss beat Alabama. Yep. It was one of those two. Yeah. This is the year that Katy Perry was on game day and threw the head off of Coach Corso. Yeah. I knew that there was some trauma that year.
It was a great time. And then Ole Miss beat Alabama again in 2015.
Yep.
Back to back.
Yep.
Tremendous.
Well, games. Ole Miss would later vacate this win due to NCAA violations.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Fine. Hugh Freeze is texting hookers. That's not good. They still won the game.
Yes, they did. But on the record, they did not. All right, guys, two more of these classic games. So in 2018, this one's nicknamed the Egg Brawl. So this game was notable for a brawl that occurred at the end of the third quarter. And it was I totally forgot about this. And I can't believe it's only been 4 years now, or I guess going on. Yeah, I guess 4 years. But this was when after the third quarter, Ole Miss was trailing 28-3 and appeared to score a touchdown to end the quarter. And one of Mississippi State's players continued fighting for the ball long after Ole Miss player A.J. Brown crossed the goal line, because he's the guy you want to pick a fight with on that team. So players started to shove each other, and eventually punches were exchanged and the benches cleared. 4 players, 1 from Ole Miss and 3 from Mississippi State, were ejected, and every player on both teams were given unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. The touchdown that Brown had appeared to score was taken off the board due to the clock expiring before the snap, and Mississippi State went on to pick up a 35-3 win in Oxford that year. It was like, I forgot about that. I forgot about those teams with Brown and Metcalf and 2 guys that you just don't really want to get into a fight with. Okay, and this last one, this name, I don't know who came up with this, but
I was at that Egg Brawl game.
Were you?
Yes. I remember that game.
Please tell us more. I would hope so. You were there. I mean, I guess.
Well, I was trying to remember if I was at that game or if I was at the 2016 game, but I was at the 2018 game, and it was cold as hell. I ate 4 Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches.
Nice.
Did you enjoy the Grove beforehand?
Yes, that was the highlight of the day. The Grove lives up to the billing. There's a lot of things in college football that are like a little overhyped by ESPN and all those people, but the Grove truly is a one-of-a-kind tailgate experience, and it's like every bit as crazy as it looks when they do the game day feature every few. But like, people are super friendly. It helps if you know people like who can get you into a tent and stuff, but like, super friendly. Everybody's having a good time. Crazy decadent. I mean, I can't get behind going to football games in khakis and button downs. I'm a Yankee, but it's very cool. A lot of bourbon.
How was the game? Give me more about the game.
Like, the game was terrible.
But the brawl, like what?
I mean,
what
from
were
the
stands
like everybody was just kind of like, "What the hell is going on?" And then like, it all clears up before anybody has any idea what's happened. And of course, people were pissed because Mississippi State was running away with it.
Yeah.
I think that was the year Dan Mullen lit the cigar after the game, right? Hold on, I need to look this up.
I hate Dan Mullen.
So wait,
okay, this was the 2016 game. Okay, I'm sorry, I was not at the 2018 game for the Bronx. There was a fight at the 2016 game as well.
Not surprising.
But
I mean, you're an in-state rival, so I have a hard time believing that most of these games, like in-state rivalry games, don't end in some sort of shoving or beforehand or after the game. So
that's my bad.
This last one here, 2019.
It's understandable. Go ahead. Sure. 2019.
This one's called the Piss, the Miss, and the Double Dismiss.
This is the worst one of all.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So with both teams needing a win to ensure bowl eligibility, Ole Miss trailed Mississippi State 21-14 with 9 seconds left. Matt Corral completed a 2-yard pass to wide receiver Elijah Moore for an Ole Miss touchdown with 4 seconds left. Moore then drew a 15-yard excessive celebration penalty for pretending to be a dog urinating in the end zone for his touchdown celebration, forcing the team to kick the extra point from 35 yards away rather than 20. The extra point attempt failed, and Mississippi State won 21-20. And the head coach, Matt Luke, and the athletic director, Keith Carter, issued a joint public apology for Moore's behavior, describing his conduct as disappointing and unacceptable. Moore himself also publicly apologized, and Ole Miss fired Luke the following Sunday, while Mississippi State would fire Joe Moorhead following a loss in the Motor City Bowl. And when it was revealed that the quarterback Garrett Schrader did not play in the game after being injured in a fight during the pre-bowl practice. Good times.
I mean, that sums it up.
I was say, is that just a good way to end these notable games? Yeah,
I mean, like, Ole Miss is firing Matt Luke. I think they went like 4-8 that year, right? And Mississippi State's going to the Motor City Bowl. Like, these teams aren't ever playing
Music City. They got to go to these Nashville and
that's true. All right,
you said Motor City.
Some consolation.
Music is Motor City's in my head.
But neither of these teams are hardly ever playing for anything but pride, and they just can't help themselves but be so pissy. In this case, literally
pissy. Elijah Moore's never been the same since.
I will say, like, I know, everyone in the athletic department was very solemn and somber, and this is an affront to football. Blah. Watching that live, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen happen on a football field.
I mean,
Like, I was cracking up, and like, obviously it was stupid, but it was funny.
Oh yeah,
it was like when Randy Moss like pretended to moon someone. Like, if you don't want him to do it, don't let him score. Like, I thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
It's not like you're making like a lewd gesture. Like peeing like a dog is. Come on.
Now, would I have saved that for if we were beating Mississippi State by 3 touchdowns?
Right.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have whipped that one out.
Keep that one the whole.
Whoa,
literally,
literally, yeah. See, I'm not even doing this intentionally, guys. Lord.
All right, so that's gonna do it for us here. So Nathan, I guess I didn't really get a chance to get kind of the backstory from you, and I genuinely don't know it. So what drew you to be a secondary Ole Miss fan, and I assume you knew somebody. You kind of threw that hint on going to the Grove and knowing someone. So why don't you kind of tell us kind of why you're an Ole Miss supporter?
Yeah. So my younger brother's 2 years younger than me. He went to Ole Miss. So
there it is.
That's kind of the long and short of the story. We have some family friends that went there too, but I never even really thought twice about it until my brother went there. My family was living in Memphis when he was going to college, and it's an hour and a half down the road if traffic's not bad. 2-lane road all the way from Memphis to Oxford, just straight through the Mississippi countryside.
Nice.
So if traffic, like if you get behind somebody who's driving real slow, it can be real slow, but it's pretty drive. So I got to go down and visit him a handful of times, went to a few games. Oxford is great. It's beautiful little town, great restaurants. And I've never been to Starkville. I don't know that I could make it through a game at Davis Wade with all the cowbells clanging around. I have to meet their games when I watch them on TV.
I hate cowbells.
But yeah, so that's my connection to Ole Miss. I'm not from Mississippi, never lived there, but it's fun to be on the kind of more crusty, looking down on little brother side of a rivalry for once, since I'm on the other side of it in Michigan and Michigan State. But
nice.
That's the story there.
Did you ever get down to Oxford and go, shoot, I shouldn't have gone to school in the North?
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. Yeah, like when
every trip.
Now, mind you, he met his lovely wife at Michigan State, so we'll preface it with that. However,
wouldn't trade that for the world. However, when you go down and see how they tailgate and just see how warm it is in November, you do kind of have some regret. Like one time I was down there for a game and it was late October. It was while I was still in school, or maybe just after. And so like it was in the 70s in Oxford. I was wearing like shorts and a polo, and I just come from Michigan where it was already snow flurries. And I was like, all right, I screwed up.
Did you ever show up to a game just wearing like a hoodie and jeans, and your brother's like, no, you gotta change, like, and hand you some khakis and a nice button up?
No, I knew enough not to do that. Because he would have been like, yeah, here, you got to put on this blazer, and
here's a needlepoint belt and some loafers, and
and that was the thing too, where as much as I would go down there and think, oh man, I've made a huge mistake, then I would go down and see everybody having to wear blazers and khakis to football games. I was like, I don't know, I prefer the hoodie,
especially in like September, right? That's got to be brutal.
Oh yeah. Oh, you see some of these guys get done really dirty by the ESPN camera crews during those early season games. They're just pouring buckets of sweat. It's like, brother, get yourself a moisture wicking shirt.
My brother in Christ.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the heavy Oxford weave. So no, Ole Miss is a beautiful school. Really great documentary on ESPN, one of their 30 for 30s called Ghosts of Ole Miss. Wright Thompson, who's a writer, did the voiceover for that. Can't recommend that enough. If you want to learn a little bit about the school's history.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. A little bit about the football, a little bit about kind of the social history there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fascinating, and sad, frankly, piece of American history. But well done documentary, well worth the time.
Cool.
And if you ever find yourself in the deep South, Oxford is worth a stop.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Grove should be, if you're a college football fan, and I've just heard countless accounts of people that have experienced it, and it just has to be in your bucket list, right?
Yeah,
It has to be
yeah.
probably at the top of that list,
Yeah.
is to go and just experience it. And that's definitely something I hopefully will do, maybe sometime.
Same.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Gonna just push my daughter to go to school there and be like, hey.
God help her if she does, man. That's a lot of crazy Southern money to compete with.
That's true.
But and Vaught Hemingway, Ole Miss's stadium is a nice stadium. It's one of the smaller ones in the SEC. I think they just expanded it by like 12,000 seats though. So I think they're almost.
Oh
like
yeah, they did.
70,000.
They were talking about that on the broadcast on this weekend. Yeah,
that's what I've heard. I think someone had mentioned like you're not going there for that. Not that it's a terrible place to watch a game, but you're definitely going there for.
No, it's a lot of fun.
Game.
It feels very close and intimate. So that's kind of a nice.
It's a nice way of putting it. You romanticize a little bit there.
Maybe just a little bit.
Okay, why don't we get to our rankings then? So just to remind everyone, we do a ranking on a scale of 1 to 5 for the looks of the trophy, the history of the trophy, the history of the rivalry itself, and then the competitiveness of that rivalry. So you can kind of separate that, and then overall, whether it's a bottom, middle, or top tier. So Nathan, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, sure. So look at the trophy. I think it's 3 for me. I mean, it's a fine trophy. It's, kind of unique, but it's nothing special. What was the second one? I'm sorry.
The history of the trophy.
History, I'd give that a 4. I think I didn't know a lot about the history of the trophy before this. I thought that was interesting to learn, and the fact that it's kind of been such a long lasting game is cool.
Yeah.
Rivalry itself, 5 for sure. For all the reasons I've outlined before, and the fact that it's on Thanksgiving. It's like I get kind of sick of the NFL. I like to have my college football while I'm in my kind of track pants after a big dinner. So that's a nice come down.
And then the competitiveness of the rivalry.
I mean, historically it's probably a 3, but recently it's like a 5. I mean, these teams have actually been kind of semi-relevant nationally, or at least playing plus 500 ball for the most part. So. I'll split the difference, say 4.
Okay. And then overall, would you put this in a bottom tier, middle tier, or top tier?
It's probably middle tier. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably too close to analyze this objectively, but I think it's a middle tier game.
Okay. Mike, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Gosh, I line up pretty well with that. So like looks, I'm gonna say it's a 3. It's unique. There's some things about it I like. There's some things about it I think could be better. Like I said, if you would like to kind of etch in, like I think maybe like a Rebels and a Mississippi State logo, like Bulldogs logo, that would be cool. On the ball itself, that would help me a little bit with it. The history, I'm gonna say like 3.5. The rivalry itself is definitely a 5. I think that like the number of games that they have there, like named and like to have a name, like that was really cool. Just going through all that, hearing all that was fantastic. And then the competitiveness, and this is now, a 4. I'm gonna say a 4. So overall, I mean it does rank.
Okay, so I think I lied.
What?
Hold on.
What would you lie
about what?
Yeah, this might change Mike's a little bit. It does say, so you have on the base, the wooden base, you have scores, and then you go up because it looks like the base has changed over time. I mean, I'm not didn't go through to confirm that, but it looks like it changed over time, the wooden base part of it. But then you get to the actual like trophy part of it, and it still has the scores etched on it. And then at the little piece before, the smallest circle piece before you get to the top football does say the golden egg. Don't know if that's there to change your mind as a little bit of
it's not
something else etched.
It's not enough to sway me. I will say though, I think like I'm just looking back at my scores here.
Yeah.
And like composite where it's at with some other things. Like I think this classifies as top tier for me just because of where all my other scores are at. The rivalry piece is really cool. So I'm going to put it in the top tier.
Okay. So for me, I always have like a pretty exact like thought when it comes to looks, and I've told Mike this before when we had our one disagreement. I feel like over these 2 seasons on what looks good when it comes to the Palmetto Bowl trophy, it needs to be unique because you kind of have the one side of it. It just looks like a trophy that you get when you were a kid, right? And then the other end of it is like complete uniqueness that usually has something to do with the 2 schools. So traditionally, this would probably be a 3 at the highest for me. However, the fact that it nonsensically has, and it probably has to do with the age of the trophy because it's so old, the scores that go through layers and are on places in the trophy where it shouldn't be, especially the football.
I do like
something about that is charming to me. So it's a 4 for me on looks because of that. The history of the trophy, I put it at a 4.5 because I love the fact that it was made because they were wanting to stop people from hurling chairs at each other on an annual basis.
Like
and the fact that it's almost 100 years old. So I think that's also equally as cool. So 4.5 there. The rivalry, like you guys said, 5. Like there's just no talking that number down at all. And then competitiveness, I went to 3.5. So I was kind of with you, Nathan, where it just historically had been one-sided, but more recently had been competitive. So that kind of bumped it up a little bit over that. So it's a top tier for me. This is a lovely trophy and a game that I usually like to try and turn on. I feel like before, especially before this podcast, like I really just only focused on Big Ten games and then, whatever was on big, which usually wasn't these 2 schools. But this, I feel like, was one of the few games that I would actually be interested in that Thanksgiving Day weekend. So
I bumped up my ranking on the history a half a point just because I just with everything we talked about, I forgot the whole reason it was created was because they wanted to stop people from hitting each other with chairs. So it's now a 4 for me. And I'm gosh, yeah, I'm like going back and forth on a couple things. This is really close to being our top ranked trophy this season.
Yeah.
Composite scores of 4.13. Just between you and me, EJ, I don't have the guest scores as part of the composite, but is only behind the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, which has a composite score of 4.25.
Which sounds right. I mean, it's hard to outdo a 10-foot or.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's nothing else that's in the 4 range. Third place is the Deep South's oldest rivalry with a composite score of 3.69. So,
and you guys have 2 to go?
No, only one more. This is the penultimate episode, guys. We're almost done, which is sad because college football's almost done.
I know.
It is crazy.
It went so quick.
Well, I said that this weekend, and Kara even said, she's like, yeah, it did go fast. I'm like,
you're tracking this?
All right.
So as I just mentioned, or we've mentioned countless times over this episode, this game is played on the last weekend of college football or regular season of college football over Thanksgiving. This game will actually be on Thanksgiving Day. So after you watch the Lions get murdered by the Bills at 12, and you're kind of sleeping through the Cowboys game because of, your turkey, wake back up, throw this on. I don't even know who plays the night game on Thanksgiving. Who cares?
Probably
it's
Dallas.
The Egg Bowl.
Who cares about Dallas?
So next week we will have a ton of games to preview because the SEC saves all of them for last, basically. So that's going to do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you've loved the podcast, can you please rate us on Spotify or Apple, especially on Apple? Please review it. Also leave a comment. We love it. Even if you don't love the podcast and you just want to give us a bad comment, give us a comment.
Hey. We don't want
just
that.
do it. I want participation. Okay, Nathan, I don't know if you've rated this pod yet, but do it.
No, this is a good plug for me to go do that.
And don't forget about our Saturday morning betting posts and to see who's going to win between Mr. Nathan here, Mr. Mike, and potentially Doyle. Doyle is making it interesting and throwing his hat in the ring as well. So 2 weeks left, fellas. We're gonna, or I guess 2 plus the championship week, the double Jeopardy round here. So that'll be a fun stretch these last 3 weeks.
And we'll have
So-
a couple things coming up here. So
Yes.
you know,
Exciting times, guys. Just because football season ending doesn't mean that we're done. Tease.
Damn right.
So join us next week for the season finale when we talk about the rivalry closest to Mike's heart, the Iron Bowl. So for Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.